8 Misbehaving is actually, I think, a really brilliant episode of The Simpsons because it's very different. And interestingly, it's actually very poorly rated compared to every other episode. It's got 7.0 out of 10 on IMDb, which in itself is not a bad rating. Anything over 6 is generally very well received. But compared to other episodes of The Simpsons, it's really quite a low rating. And I find that very interesting because I thought it was quite a different episode. It's not my personal favourite, but I think there was a lot of humour in this, particularly surrounding Apu and his facial expressions and the way he reacted to things. Maybe the negative rating is because of the treatment of the babies. I don't know. It's the 7th episode of the 11th season, directed by Stephen Dean Moore, and in this one, Manjula gives birth to 8 babies, and hence the title. And they become very famous, as is often the case when a family has octuplets or any large number of babies at any one time. And the babies start to get a lot of attention and a lot of media attention. And things obviously start out quite interesting. There are corporate people basically helping to raise the babies and paying for all kinds of expenses. But Apu and Manjula realise that that's all well and good, but you lose something fundamental when that happens. You lose bonding with your children. You lose the innocence that children have when their life is in the spotlight, or when their life is not in the spotlight. And I think they have to make some really tough decisions. And I think it actually does. It's meant to be a funny episode, of course it is. But I feel like it also does raise the issue that some families, not even if they have even if they just have one child, but certainly if you have more than one child, the pressure and how much your life will change overnight is colossal. And it really does say, hey, look, looking after children is not easy. It's going to be very difficult. And things are going to be very challenging. And you're going to have to make some really tough decisions. And I think it's making that very obvious. And maybe it will put some people off having children. I don't know. I don't think that's the episode's intention. I do think maybe the poorer rating comes from what happens to the babies and the treatment of the babies when they're getting more and more attention, because I do find that actually most of the episode is quite funny and the gags work and everything seems to hit its mark. And I think it actually delivers some really important truths that may not be that obvious. I don't have children, but I can imagine that even having just one child is going to be pretty intense. And this kind of shows that actually some people end up having larger pregnancies and things like this can happen. And that some support is very good, but things can tip over the edge and get a little bit ridiculous, and this is definitely what it shows. So, yeah, I don't know, maybe that's why it is. If you don't rate it that highly either, I'd be really interested to know why. If there's a specific reason, maybe I'm missing something, or maybe generally the vibes are just people don't tend to like it. But personally, I thought it had a decent amount going for it. Definitely not my all-time favourite episode, but actually one that I think was pretty well done.